Well, hello! Today I'll show you how easy it is to enhance the computerized quilting with our own freehand designs on this lovely broken-hearted lady in red quilt. I'm working on this broken-hearted lady in red quilt, and I'm so excited. It's a little bit more of a technical quilt, not as much freehand, and so I wanted to really show off these white areas. So with the computerized quilting machine, I placed a design in these areas with a contrasting thread, and I'm very happy with that. Now I'm going to do some of the freehand work, and I'm going to stitch in the ditch around this triangle to complete all of my stitch in the ditch. And I do not want to start in a corner or on a point. So I started right there in the middle of the triangle, place my ruler a 1/4 inch away from the seam, and then I can stitch along that seam right in the ditch just by using my ruler. You see, I stop and I move my ruler, because if I move my ruler with my hand, I tend to let my right hand take over, and it just doesn't do as good as stitching in the ditch. But watch how fast I can come down by just sliding my ruler, by sliding my machine along the edge of my ruler. You have to keep also your fingers where your foot is. In other words, if I was my hand's over here, you see I have no control there. So I need to keep that right where the foot of the machine is. And then I can stay in the ditch. Now, in the ditch means in the ditch, okay? Not a 1/4 inch away, not off and on. And I'll just go past a little bit there where I started. And then I can cut and trim my thread. Now, I also have, with the white thread, I have another area that I need to do, and that's around the top. This is a log cabin design in a heart shape, but I have the top of this heart is actually machine appliqued on. And so I need to, around this curve, and so that's going to be a little bit harder. It's not that straight edge. I'm going to use this tool that I call an applique helper. So it helps me go around the applique, also mashes down that applique a little bit as I'm going around it, so it's easier to control. And around this side, here we go, right on the edge of the applique, right next to that machine stitching where it has been stitched to the top. And then right from this position, turn off my machine and remove my tool, I'm going to start doing some freehand feathers, and they're just like little teardrops, and I'll reach out into the corner and fill in all of this white area. Now I want to reverse the direction of that feather, so I'm going to make a little heart here and start going the other direction so I can fill that in up to the computerized design. And then I'm going to echo to the middle of the heart, make another little teardrop there just to put another design element in, echo back over a little ways, and start the feather on the other side. How easy is that? A little heart to reverse my direction, and the feather again. There we go. All in one motion, continuous as possible, so we don't have to stop and start. I have the red thread on now, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this heart. It's a broken heart, right? So we have to separate it here. And with the red thread, I'm going to go down and I'm going to stitch in the ditch in between the purple and the red pieces of the log cabin. So here we go. Like that, and then I just turn my ruler, come this way, turn my ruler and go that way. This is kind of fun. It's like zigzagging. There we go. You can see how fast that is. It's not hard to do. Stitch in the ditch is fun. And then while I'm here, I'll just come down this line here, and I'll finish stitching in the ditch along the edge here. There we go. Okay, now I need to put a sashing design in this red sashing. And I wanted it to be kind of fancy, but kind of simple, because I have plenty of fancy designs on here. I'm going to use some masking tape now because I want to do a design in this red sashing area. And I don't like to put marks on the quilt because I have to take marks off if I put them on. So I use masking tape a lot. I'm going to put some masking tape there and some masking tape here. This is just inside of this seam line, like that. And then I can mark with a pen the two ends, and I can find the middle. And yes, you can use a tape measure to do this. But I found I can probably use my eyes just as well, and I've learned to do that. But I know many of you will want to measure that and make sure that you're very, very accurate. So those are my marks on the tape. And I'm going to start over here, and I'll be able to do this whole, I could go around this whole square in one continuous motion. So I'll do these two together. And we're going to make a little bit of a teardrop, and then a half circle up and down to our mark, and a teardrop, half circle up and down, teardrop, half circle, teardrop. And you probably do this too. I talk to myself all the time that I'm quilting. Then I'm going to come over here with the same teardrop. Do you see how I just transitioned right over to the next area? Very easily. So if you can do a half circle and a teardrop, you've got this design down very quickly. And one more here. Now, right from where you end, right here, I'm going to go inside. I'm going to jump in, make a teardrop, and then do a half circle up and over and down. So I'm doing a half circle the other direction and putting a teardrop in, just like I did on the other side. Draw that out on a piece of paper if you've never done it. It's a variation of the pumpkin seed design. You probably have seen the simple design on many quilts. This one is just a little fancier, so it gives you a little bit more quilting, but it's very easy to do. You can see just a nice light touch on the machine. There we go, and we ended up exactly where we started. So how fortuitous is that? Here we go. Take our little stitches, move the machine over, grab that loop, and then pull up all of our thread, and we can cut the beginning and the ending at the same time. And there we have our red sashing is all completed. I have the last color change on now, so this quilt will get finished. We are going to come to the purple side of the heart, and I'm going to put some feathers in that side because I know they're fast and easy, and not a lot is going to show in this dark purple area. So I've secured my thread there, and we are going to do some feathers here like this. Reach out, clear over, almost that teardrop shape. Then I'm going to follow this back down and do some more. Filling them in, reach out. So I just sort of follow this, the edge of the red square down to get into the next area. There we go. And then I'll follow it one more time. Alrighty. Okay, there's our feather. Was that fast? This is so amazing. This little design in the red area of the heart I did with a purple thread, and I did this with the computerized quilting machine. I love that design, but it isn't enough, and I couldn't find a design that was going to fit into this odd shaped area. So I'm going to complete that design that was started with the computerized machine and do it freehand. I'm going to start at the top of it, this, and I will replicate the little heart like that, and some of the little curls as I come down. And then just come down into this area And then follow it back. And then come down into this area, same thing. And follow it back. It's almost like ribbons, but they have a little curl in there. There we go. And then on this side, and that will complete that cute design. And it's really fun. Really fun to be able to combine both techniques. In this little square, I decided to put a little Greek key, and it will reflect the square design. So I've got my security stitches there, and I'll use my ruler so that I can be nice and straight. Just come down. I'm using the foot width to actually determine how close I get on these lines. So I just put the foot there against the ruler, and that gives me the idea of where I need to do that. Okay, and I'll take my little stitches there. That gave it a geometric look, and next to the feathers and the curls, it's just exactly what I needed to set it off and draw the eye and draw attention to that little area. Now I have a tiny little border here, and right here is the middle of the quilt, so I decided to put a half of a feather in this area. And to turn the feather the other direction, I'm again going to use a heart design like that, and that changed the direction on the feathers, so I can go along like this. You don't always have to use the entire feather. This would be too much. A feather would be too much to put in this tiny little area, but a half a feather works out wonderfully. And as I get over to the corner, you'll see I'm just going to have them be kissing feathers at the end. They'll just touch like that. And that completed that little area. Wasn't that easy and fast? And then on the other side, just bring those up snug so you don't have any tails on the underneath of your quilt when you're finished. In the outer border, which is a bigger border, I'm actually completing the other side of the feather. It's a bigger feather, but that doesn't make any difference. There's no rule that says one feather has to be exactly the same size as the other one. So I'm just going to come out here and bring this out. Generally, your quilt isn't bound when you are working on it, but you know what? It can be. You can see that. It's not that hard. You can already have your quilt bound, and if it's on zippers and you need to work on another project, you can zip it off, go ahead and bind it, and then put it back on and work on it again. Now there's that heart design again. I have reversed the feather design, and this go over here to the edge like this. This is a really good texture to put in to an area like this. And one more feather and this quilt is complete. So let's take a look at that completed quilt.